Bang! Neeves Knives, I'm Jared, and here we have two MIGURONs we're going to check out. This one is the new MIGURON Erico or ERIKO, I think it's ERIKO. So it has an M390 straight back blade. So it has a big old belly, and it is a frame lock. It has a very sleekness to it, almost like a sports car or something. And I gotta say, they did a good job with this inlay work, so they are stepping it up a little bit with their inlay work. The reverse flick is phenomenal on this knife. I think that is probably the better of the action. It does have a flipper tab, but it's a very small flipper tab. If you really like small flipper tabs, then you'll probably love this. It works great. For me, it's a little bit smaller than I'd prefer, but a lot of people like small flipper tabs. I'm just not a huge fan of them. But I do like when it's open, you have the trigger pull. So very comfortable right here. You can easily turn it around. You know, it's not gonna be the best utility cutter, but you can use the belly. And you know, the access to the lock bar is not horrible. I mean, it could have been a little bit bigger, but it's still comfortable. Very smooth on the drop, contoured scales. And like I said, this fuller is where it's at. This fuller, the reverse flick is fantastic. And for lefties, you have this carbon fiber inlay, so you can put your finger right on that inlay, and it works just fine for the reverse flick. As far as negatives go with this one, the one thing is the sharpening choil and plunge grind. However, I do gotta say that this is a knife that is super comfortable back here. And if you were gonna do like repeated cuts, you know, like when you're cutting into something and cutting into something over and over, this is gonna work really good because the material slide right into the edge, right over your hand, right, you know, it'd basically be like a ramp into the edge, which does help a lot in cutting. So we'll say that there's nothing to catch on. Now, if it's something that bothers you, you could just add a notch in it. There is room back here, so there's no problem with you adding your own sharpening notch if you wanted to in the future. But as far as it goes the way it is, yeah, you're gonna hit the plunge grind a little bit, especially after like the second sharpening. And then the next thing, T6s. I'm not a fan of T6s, and the flipper tab just is a little bit small for me, but like I said, it still works good, so it's not a bad thing. But the T6s definitely are. I want to see T8s. So really cool. Let's get to the next one. So the next one is the Gladiator 2. So I do have the Gladiator 1, and this one's in S90V. S90V for like 150 bucks, 150, 60 bucks. So really good deal on S90V. Now I forget what they're heat treating their S90V to. Hopefully it's like 61, 62, but I'm not positive. But I gotta say, this is one of the smoothest AM8, sorry, it's an AM8, not Megaron, AM8 Gladiator. It's one of the smoothest knives from MIGURON and AM8 that I've tried. It is very, very smooth. The slow roll deployment is very satisfying because of the smoothness, and the reverse flick, fantastic detent as far as resistance goes when it's closed, super duper snappy. And the front flipper has perfect jimping on it, very easy to reverse flick. The original one, I believe, is a flipper, and then this one is, or was it just thumb studs? I think it was flipper and thumb studs. This one is a front flipper and thumb studs, which I gotta say, I like this better. I do like this one better than the original one. I wasn't a big fan of the original flipper tab, but it is very comfortable, very squared off. So it's definitely something that it's going to be ergonomic for most people, but it is square. So you might get it in hand and think like, ooh, that feels a little different, but it's still very comfortable. You can easily turn it around. You know, you can do utility cuts. It's got this beautiful sheep's foot blade. Like I said, I can't tell you how the S90V is. I did test one other example of their S90V a while back, and it did pretty good. That was our first time using it though. I'm not going to say it like held the longest edge or anything for S90V, but it sharpened up really well and it took an incredibly sharp edge, and it did last pretty good. I didn't do a controlled test, but you know, I would have no doubt that, you know, if I did do a controlled test, it probably wouldn't have been at the top of S90V performance. But you know, especially because it was the first time really using it. But now I can't speak on it, and I don't want to say that back then is the same as now, because, you know, companies usually do a better job after they're used to it. And yeah, anyways, man, like I said, this action is amazing. As far as negatives go with this one, T6s, I don't like seeing that, and it's got the T6s all down here. Not a fan of that. Other than that, you know, there's really no other complaints. I mean, you know, it's very well done. Like I said, it's one of the smoothest ones I've experienced. It has a very glassy quality feel to it. It is a little bit boxy, like I said, but you know, that's just the way this style of this knife is, and there's nothing wrong with it. It feels good, and the price is great. So I'm very happy to see the price the way it is. Love the sharpening tool and plunge grind. Love the access to the lock bar. Super duper smooth. Yeah, this one's pretty cool. I like this one. And like I said, 150, 60 bucks, that's phenomenal. And both of them are really, really good. I just, as far as style goes, I think this one has the cooler look, but this is definitely the one that would be more useful. But this one's definitely got the cooler look. Anyways, you know, it's subjective. Until next time, peace.